Welcome to another episode of The Latest with Maya. Today, I am very excited to be having a conversation with Joeseph Kolean, Steph Holmbo, and Zach Gutierrez, the team and star behind the upcoming indie horror movie Soft Liquid Center. Thank you so much for being on my show. I am very excited to be talking with you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Maya. We're excited to be here.
Thanks for having us, Maya.
Yeah, so let's get started. Where did the idea for Soft Liquid Center come from?
I'll take this one. It's a combination of, it's based off of a combination of several relationships I have had with different men in my life. Some romantic, some friendship, some familial, some in communities I've been involved in. Joe and I started with an outline of what happens after someone gets out of an abuse cycle into a new phase and the remnants of what lingers. And after that outline, Joe and Zach, being the directors, started shooting it. Then all three of us continued to co-create the story as we moved along. And it became a true collaboration from all points: direction, starring, writing, producing. These are the three people who did every aspect.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and I'm always so inspired by people who can take something so difficult and like make something like important and in certain cases like joyous out of that really hard experience. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm inspired by you for yeah.
Thanks, Maya. Yeah, it felt both challenging and cathartic, considering it's not the easiest of subject matters. But I am definitely not the only one who has experienced some of the things that the character experiences in the movie.
Yeah. So what was the process of filming the movie like, and how does it feel to have your creation come to life?
I'll start. We probably all it's funny as we're so tightly knit, but we all have our own experiences with this stuff, similar to what we were talking about before we started the recording with after the movie comes out. Do you read reviews of your own stuff? Do you not? Like these are like the process things that can be so fascinating because everybody's experience so different. So we initially had talked about trying to film it in one fell swoop, like a traditional, like like most movies are made. But we just didn't think that we would be able to afford to do that because we were self-funding it.
Yeah.
So I hesitate to say we created a schedule. We just tried to be consistent about shooting every week, but then that kind of, as things came up in our lives, because we were still working jobs, sometimes it'd be like once a month or twice a month. So it was very kind of stop start sort of schedule. So it took about 3 years for us to shoot everything.
Oh.
And as we were going, we were kind of amending what we'd written and adding things, and in some case subtracting things. And so we just kept plugging away at it until we finished everything we thought we needed. And at some point we kind of started editing. So like, I don't know, maybe Zach remembers better because Zach and I edited it, but we shot quite a bit of stuff before we started editing, but we were definitely shooting as we were editing at the end of things, because that's part of how we realized, oh, we should like add this scene. That was like part of how the amendments came to be, is we were seeing the things in the edit and felt like there were things missing.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So who has had the biggest impact on you professionally, and who has had the biggest impact on you as a person?
I guess I could start this one. Just in terms of this movie, this group has been like the biggest influence on me professionally. Like, making this film was such an undertaking for such a small team, for so little amount of money, for such a time commitment. Like, not a single one of us could have done this without the others. So that's like, working with Steph and Joe has been a huge inspiration to me, to just like, you can make a movie. We made a movie. And that's really amazing. And then just in terms of in my personal life, the people who allow me to do this, my partner Gillian, who has been so supportive of this lifestyle of, making art, while we try to, work our way through life. It's I hold all those people close to me.
Oh, I love that.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, I would echo what Zach said, but I mean, professionally, Steph and Zach, kind of without question, have had the biggest impact on my development of late, like in the last 10 years. Zach and I have been working together about 7 years or so. And then Steph and I have been together about 9 years, and they're both have kind of expanded my world, not just with cinema, but just life, thinking about how things work, and who I want to be, and yeah, just trying to learn how to care for each other. Like, I would add, for both, this is kind of a mixed bag, but my parents, feel like everybody, whoever raised you, has such a big impact on the way your world looks. And I still feel the impact of stuff from childhood. Some of that stuff is good, some not so good. But that's why, as an adult, it's nice. You're lucky if you get to meet people like Zach and Steph, who help you kind of reimagine what your world can look like. And then Zach and I have some friends that we collaborate with on and off. Paul and Logan. They've had a big impact on me in a slightly different way. No less creative, but like maybe less about like movies. Um, they're more like comedy guys, but they've kind of helped me um, develop that side, and I feel lucky to be working with Zach and Paul and Logan as well. Yeah, I think I'm trying to think if there's anything else I would add. Yeah, it's like people that I'm really close with that have the biggest impact. And yeah, this project in particular was really eye-opening in so many ways. Uh, and I totally agree with Zach. It's like the way I would encapsulate it is just like, if you have a vision for something that you want to do, whether it's a movie or a book or whatever it is, a sculpture, it's probably not going to be easy necessarily, but there are ways to do it. And there are people in your life, hopefully, that would like to see you make that. So like Zach and Steph are people that give me hope that we can continue growing as people and making things.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to sound like a broken record. Joe and Zach are deeply influential in my artistic journey, my artistic life. We did an interview where somebody asked what would be the advice you would give to young artists, young filmmakers, and I said, find people you trust to work with, and then trust the people that you do work with. And other than just collaborators artistically, uh, Zach and Joe are the dearest people in my life. Joe is my husband. Zach is such a dear friend. And then the fourth person that I would bring on is the composer of the music, whose name is Roberto Garza, who is just such a motor for our boat, pushing forward, even in the times we were like, we can't get this done, or like, is this a real movie? Um, this team of four, it is just such a huge thing to make a movie, and it never felt insurmountable in the process because of those three people I just mentioned. And I think it's really special to have the same answer for who influences you professionally and who influences you personally, and then have something to show for it. You know, we could have made this thing together and then been like, it's not very good, we're not going to put it in the world, but we learned a lot while doing it. We got to learn a lot while doing it. We got to do it together. And now we get to release it for other people to experience it.
Yeah, I would add Carl Kister to the mix just in terms of our film, and he's been a big influence in my life the last several years. So yeah, he's our executive producer. He isn't really that excited about horror films, but when we showed him the film, he really liked it and asked if he could help. So he hopped on and he was so helpful in so many ways. And Carl is a really fascinating guy, and he's a very good friend, very kind and generous. But I would describe him as like kind of a creative realist. So like he will balance the like aspirational side with the like experiential side, like his experiences producing indie films. Um, so it's like you're a hot air balloon tethered to the ground a little bit. Like he's like, okay, like don't go too crazy because realistically, here's the things that need to happen, and here's probably what will happen. So he's a good grounding force for us, and he helped get the project to where it is now. Like he helped us finish it. Once we'd finished shooting, he helped us with the festival process and the distribution process, and just helped us think about promotion, things like that. So just in terms of the sphere of this film, Carl is another really important piece. Like between Roberto Garza and Carl Kister, that kind of fleshed out the rest of the film, like finishing it up and getting it out into the world. And it wouldn't be the same without them. So just wanted to give a little shout out.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So what motivates you even on days when you aren't really feeling it?
I'll start. For me, it's when other people are involved. If I am very intrinsically motivated. I do love to create. I love to be alone. I like to do things internally, but there are always days where I do not want to do something, even though I say I'm going to do it. And when you have people who really believe in you and are really relying on you to be somewhere or have a deadline or have something written or have something produced, then it feels really important to not only not let yourself down, but not let them down. So just having that team of people, whether you're collaborating with them on the project or they know about it, so they can say, hey, that needs to get done. So you got to get it done.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Zach, do you want to add
Yeah, I'll
something?
hop in next. Yeah, with this film, we were trying to get it done in a short amount of time, and we weren't able to. It was just because there was not enough resources for us to be able to make this film in like a month or even 6 months. And I think what motivated, just piggybacking off of what Steph said, us was that we were all making it together, and it was almost like a sunk cost fallacy, but in like a positive way, where you're like, we've put so much time and energy and effort into this film, and we need to have film at the end of that people can see. It doesn't matter if it's, the most amazing film in the world, but we need to get the film done. And it turns out the film's pretty good. I think we all really like it, and we're super happy with it. But without that sort of just like mutually assured, I don't know what it would be called, not destruction, but just like not getting the film done. I wouldn't have finished it. It was just me. I don't, if I was just directing it and had hired, I guess, actors, I probably would have given up on it 6 months in when the pandemic hit and we stopped filming for 6 months. But because we just all had this drive to not fail each other, after that 6 months, we got back together and we just kept shooting it, and then we finished it.
Yeah. I agree with all that. I think I have a hard time wrapping my mind around motivation sometimes because it feels like it's always in flux for me. It's hard for me to even think of it as an ebb and flow because it feels like it'll go from being almost like a physical feeling to like non-existent depending on the day. So yeah, like Zach and Steph were saying, it's really helpful to have people that hold you accountable, people that you're in it with. When I do stuff like little projects on my own, it often takes me forever because I don't have it's like you're using a different engine. It's like you're in the same car, you're still in your car, but someone swapped the engine out. And it just doesn't work. Mine doesn't work as well. I need those other pieces in there. I need the people, even if, like Steph said, even if you're not co-writers or producers or directors or whatever, you like need a couple people in there that are like, hey, where is this thing? Like I need a certain amount of, I guess I would call it positive pressure to finish things. And I felt like we had a really nice, with this project, we had a really nice amount of positive pressure. If I was to only work, like if we would have only worked, I'm guessing that you two agree with this as well. If we were to only have worked when we felt motivated to do it, we probably never would have finished the film because there were times, and this is how every project is for me, there's times when you just don't really feel like doing it. You'd rather read a book or go for a walk or anything but do the project. So I guess part of the mystery of motivation is that when it's not there, I've learned that I need to be diligent about continuing to work on stuff. And it's just so much easier when you have a team of people. So yeah, that's kind of where I land with motivation. It's hard for me to admit that. I'd love to be like, I'm always just such a self-starter, but it just depends on the day. And most days I think you just need each other, we're here together for a reason. I think, and I think that's one of the reasons, is just to help each other. Even if it's like, whatever, it's a movie, we're not talking about curing some disease or something, but even with these sorts of things that hopefully are fun, it takes a crew of people to actually see it through.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So what in your life brings you the most joy?
I'll kick it off. These are all great questions, Maya. Some of them are like harder for me to wrap my mind around. Joy, I would say the most joy I feel is relationally. Sometimes that's people, people like Zach and Steph are obvious ones, and like figuring things out together, and I think just journeying together, we're all kind of our own spheres, and then, sometimes it becomes like a little or like our own little circles, and sometimes there's a little Venn diagram thing that happens, and that can be really fun. But sometimes you're just encouraging the other person when they're low, or they're encouraging you. You experience the highs together, whatever. These are all kind of corny things, but I think they're true. But for me, it's not just people, it's like the way I relate to the world around me. A friend of mine got me into running a number of years ago, and so I've been running on and off for the last 7 years or so. And there's these times when and they're not that often, but I'm really present when I'm outdoors and I'm on a run, and something just clicks and I clear up and I'm able to appreciate the wind coming through the trees, and just that, all I really have is this exact moment that I'm in, and I can't do that much about what's going to happen in the future, and I can't do anything about what's already happened. And those type of moments, whether it's on a run by myself or whether I'm with Steph or Zach or another friend or family member, or even strangers, like those types of moments when I actually feel present and connected, and in a way, my smallness, are when I feel the most joy.
Oh, I love.
Yeah, I would say, oh, sorry, Maya, go ahead.
Oh no, I wasn't saying anything. Sorry.
No, it's okay. My answer is slightly shorter, although I think that's very beautiful and poetic, and I think we could all learn from being in relation with everything. Um, I love movement, regardless of if it's intense or easygoing. Like, I like my body moving. I like my body moving with other people, and I also love to watch movement, like whether that's bodies or, like Joe was talking about, wind through the trees. And I really love the sky, like as an entity. I think sunrises and sunsets are the greatest, and I really love good, well-made food. That brings me a lot of joy.
I have to follow you guys up now.
Better write a poem or else you're out.
I'm kicked out of the podcast. Nope, sorry. I'm gonna...
Where'd that go?
He really didn't want to answer that question.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Here he
Okay. I was
comes.
like, we truly lost him.
Yeah. I was
I
gonna say
like-
that might have been too much pressure.
That
Yeah,
was
good
it.
point.
He's like, I'm not
Yeah,
answering that.
I'm so sorry. I got a phone call at the same time and then on my phone here, and it messed up. But okay, so I feel the most joy sharing experiences with people that I love, whether that's like Steph was saying, food, like Joe was saying, just being in the moment with somebody else. I think going back, we're getting real deep here talking about our movie, but just going back to what Joe said a little earlier is like the reason we're here is to commune and be with each other. So I feel the most joy when I'm doing that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love those answers. Um, so I am pop culture obsessed and I go in stages of shows that I just cannot stop watching. Is there a show that you are currently obsessed with?
I actually like food shows a lot, but I have a particular love for the Great British Baking Show. And Steph and I like watching that together. Yeah, it's such a charming show. The characters seem to really support each other and want to help each other. All the cooking shows are extremely formulaic, but something about that one, in spite of the formula, or maybe in some cases because of it, is really fun. And speaking of joy, I think that's kind of a joyous show. And I like that it's such low stakes. It's not like they're going to win a bunch of money or anything. It's like they're just regular people who are good at baking and they're just having fun on this show. Whatever. Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe some of them end up being famous or something because they were on that show. But the way they capture things on the show, I just think is so invigorating and feels just nice. Like it feels like people are being genuinely kind to each other. But I also love food. So like anything with food, I'll at least give a chance. Most of the shows I don't hang on to because I think they're kind of bad, but that one I love.
Speaking of food, but less reality, I mean, it feels real, even though it's scripted. The last show I loved was The Bear, which is all about the restaurant industry. And I have worked in the service industry for a long time, so it feels really honest. And I think the characters are really intentionally and intelligently written. And so I really root for a lot of them, even though some of them are kind of scumbags. So I love The Bear.
Hot scumbags. But you guys kind of took my couple of my choices there. I love The Bear. I love Great British Baking Show. Joe and I talk about Great British Baking Show often. I'm gonna go with what I'm currently watching, which is just such a weird show, and I just love weird things being in the world. And I'm not quite caught up, but I'm watching The Curse, which is I think written by Benny Safdie, and then I can't think of his name right now, but he just did The Rehearsal last year.
Nathan Fielder.
Nathan Fielder. Yes, yes. Just an incredibly weird show. And I'm kind of hoping it kind of just ends with a whimper because it seems to be like building to something. But he just tends to like take the air out of stuff in such an interesting way, Nathan Fielder. So I hope it is is just as weird throughout.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Right now I am watching it's an older show, but I'm watching the show Grimm. Which I mean,
Right.
just went off the air. I mean, I guess it was kind of a while ago, but yeah, so I've been watching that recently. So yeah.
I have
Uh
not seen it, but I'll have to check it out.
yeah, it's really good. And my mom had seen it when it was on, so when I told her I wanted to watch it, that I was gonna start watching it, she was, because I don't really like scary things, or so she was like, I think it might freak you out. And then she was surprised when I like became so obsessed with it, because I was like, it's really creepy, but it's really good. So
That's great. I haven't seen that one either. I remember it though. I'll
yeah,
have to watch it.
yeah, it's so good. Yeah. Um, so I just have two more questions for you all. So what is your favorite movie soundtrack?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um,
I'm saying
man.
ours. I'm saying Soft Liquid Center. It's on Spotify. It's written by Roberto Garza, and it is really freaking good. And it is instrumental, but it is so freaking good. So I'm stealing that
That is
one. Good
good.
luck coming
Nice,
up with your
Steph.
own.
Come on, Steph, you're the musical person. You could have chose a musical one, and then we could have taken ours.
Sorry, got to it first.
Ooh, I don't know. Um, I'm gonna say the Blade Runner score from the original Blade Runner.
The Evangelist?
Yes, yes. I really like that one. And also Vangelis, um, Chariots of Fire, the Chariots of Fire score I like, which maybe that's like a cheesier one, but yeah, the Blade Runner score, I first saw that movie when I saw the director's cut when I was maybe 14. And yeah, just the music, I found it to be really moving and kind of fascinating. Um, I had never really seen a movie like that, and the score just seemed to work so effortlessly with what was happening on screen. Um, but I will admit that I tend to like movies that think really differently about score. Um, so the one that comes immediately to mind is No Country for Old Men, where there's not really a score. You're just kind of hearing the sounds of the environment. And I'm inspired by people that kind of think outside of the box with what the soundscape can be. And that one was so beautifully simple, just in terms of the idea. I'm sure it wasn't simple to execute, but um, you feel, I think because of the way they did that, you feel kind of alienated in a way. You feel, and it's claustrophobia inducing as well for me. It puts you, at least for me, it put me in the place of the Josh Brolin character. And then, obviously the music is very present in Blade Runner, but I thought it really helped put me in the place of the characters of that movie as well.
I'm gonna go with a little bit more recent one. Score is kind of an afterthought to me in a lot of movies. I feel like a lot of them are very manipulative. But in horror, I think scores can be manipulative in an interesting way. So I'm gonna go with Under the Skin soundtrack by Joe. You'll correct me. Is it Micah Levi?
I don't know how to say their name, so I wish I could correct you. I can't.
In my head, I say Mika Levi, but I pronounce things weird sometimes.
I have no
Anyway,
clue. Love that one though. That's a great
uh,
one.
there's another Jonathan Glazer movie coming out this year, the first one since that, which I'm very excited about. But Under the Skin, that score is just so foreboding and done so differently. I think at this point, probably very copied, but just an incredible, weird, creepy score that I love.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I haven't heard some of those soundtracks, so I'm gonna have to look them up.
What's your favorite?
Oh, there's two that come to mind right away. There's the soundtrack to The Prom, which is one of my favorite movies. And then another movie that I'm obsessed with called Words on Bathroom Walls, which the soundtrack was all the songs were done by the Chainsmokers. And so I think both of those soundtracks are so good. Yeah. So
I don't think I've heard of either of those. I have to check those out.
Yeah, I haven't seen those movies.
Oh, yeah, both of them. I'm obsessed with both of them. They're so good. So, well, yeah, if The Prom is a musical comedy, and then Words on Bathroom Walls is like more drama with some comedy in it, but so it all kind of depends on what mood you're in. But yeah, those two are two that are like constantly on for me all the time. So, so I love inspiring and motivational quotes. And this week, my favorite quotation is from the writer Taylor Ashley. And it's, "Your thorns and scars are just as worthy as your petals and stars. Every part of you deserves love." Is there a quotation that has inspired you lately?
Steph, I feel like you're a quotes
Putting us
person.
on the spot here.
Yeah, I might need to look in my phone. Sometimes I'll write quotes down, but let me see if I have any.
There's it's more of a philosophy that I feel like I think of often, but there's a Ram Dass quote that just says we're all walking each other home. Like that's the point of life, and that is the point of our day-to-days. And I really believe in that we're all just on like different diagonals of journeys, and may we all be kind enough to meet each other at our different points of contact and be able to gently and justly help others along their way.
Oh, I love that.
That's a really nice quote.
I'm stealing that one.
Yeah.
That's also
You can
Zach's
have it.
quote.
That's my quote.
Just put it by Zachary Gutierrez.
Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was Ram Dass. I think that was Zachary
That was Zach.
Gutierrez.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a quote. My memory is it's like only good for really trivial stuff sometimes. So you would think it'd be great for quotes, but it's not. I'm going to be maybe a little more specific to like the creative process. And this isn't a quote by anybody famous, but it's something that I go back to, especially when I'm feeling down, or I'm questioning like why I do things and what I do creatively. I had a friend, and she actually made a poster for us. Her name's Rebecca Green, a dear friend of ours, who's like a constant inspiration, one of the most gifted people I've met. She's an illustrator and a writer. She said, this was a number of years ago, but she told me, just make things that you think are cool. Like just make stuff you like. So like, don't overthink it. If there's stuff that you don't like making, why are you doing it? You know, like maybe stop making that and just make the stuff that you want to make, and keep engaging that part of you. So like just make what you want to make. Follow your intuition is kind of the bedrock of that, in my mind. And that's kind of a North Star for me. Yeah, just to add a little more to that, the context of her telling me that was that I was doing a number of projects that were really frustrating to me, and she was asking me like, why do you keep doing them then? And saying like if she didn't find some enjoyment in what she was doing, then she wouldn't do it. And there is, you know, we have off days even with things that we typically enjoy. So she wasn't saying just give up. I think it's just about following your gut, trusting yourself, continuing to grow that part of yourself, and that's how you decide to make things. You're making it for, and Zach and I have talked about this a lot, and Steph too. When we make things, you know, ideally we're making them for ourselves, knowing that we're not alone, that there are other people like us who, if we're lucky, they get to share that with us, you know, or we get to share it with them, however it works. So that is something that inspires me and that I return to in times of trouble.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
You know, plus Ram Dass, plus the Ram Dass / Zach quote. That's a good one too.
I I love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it was so much fun talking with you all. I so appreciate your taking the time to join me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure.
Thanks, Maya. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Yeah, this was such a nice little deep conversation with friends.
Yeah, I've just had the best time talking with you guys, so thank you.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
Likewise.
And that's a wrap on today's edition of The Latest with Maya.